The healing power of exposure. Why our scars deserve the light. I had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Tenea Strayhorn recently, a woman whose work in trauma recovery has fundamentally transformed how thousands approach healing. What she shared about intentional healing didn't just move me, it cracked open something I'd been carrying for years. Her revolutionary approach to vulnerability as strength rather than weakness has helped countless Black women step away from perfectionism and into authentic power. Through her guidance, corporations have rebuilt toxic cultures, families have broken generational patterns, and individuals have found freedom they never thought possible. Today, I'm honored to share what I learned from this modern day healer about why exposing our wounds might be the very thing that finally allows them to heal. Have you ever noticed how we treat emotional wounds completely differently than physical ones? Think about it. When you cut your finger, what's the first thing any medical professional says? Let me see it. They clean it, expose it to air, sometimes even stitch it up where everyone can see. They tell you keep it uncovered when possible. It needs air to heal properly. But with emotional wounds, we do the opposite. We hide them, we bury them, we cover them with makeup and professional smiles. We sit through meetings bleeding internally while sending emails about quarterly projections. And nowhere is this more prevalent than among Black women. We've perfected the art of the titanium cape, haven't we? Strong, unbreakable, the backbone holding up families, communities, corporations, all while never letting them see us sweat. We've turned I'm fine into an art form so convincing that sometimes we even fool ourselves. But what if? What if we've been healing backward this whole time? What Tenea Strayhorn helped me understand is revolutionary. Healing isn't passive, it's intentional, and it begins with exposure, not concealment. When I first heard this, I'll admit, my internal alarm system went off like a four-alarm fire, exposed my wounds, my struggles, the parts of me that don't match my carefully curated LinkedIn profile. That sounds like career suicide, not healing. That sounds like handing ammunition to a world that already has enough reasons to underestimate me. But then I learned about Tarana Burke. Before Me Too became a hashtag, before Time magazine covers and global movements, there was just Tarana, a Black woman who understood something profound about healing. Burke founded the Me Too movement specifically to create space for women of color to speak openly about sexual violence in communities where silence was often mistaken for strength, where keeping family business private was considered protection. She dared to suggest something different. What if speaking was actually the path to power? What if exposure was the prerequisite to healing? Burke faced enormous pushback. The stigma around discussing sexual trauma publicly was intense, especially within communities where silence had long been the prescribed medicine for pain. Don't air your dirty laundry wasn't just a suggestion, it was a commandment passed down through generations. But she persisted, creating safe spaces for survivors to share their stories openly. She understood intuitively what many therapists now confirm: wounds fester in darkness, they grow in silence, they multiply in isolation. And what happened? An international movement that empowered millions to speak out about trauma and seek collective healing. Burke's work shifted global conversation from shame toward empowerment, showing countless individuals that exposing scars can catalyze both personal recovery and systemic change. This is what Tania meant when she said, healing is intentional. It doesn't just happen to you because time passes. You have to choose it. sometimes against every cultural message you've ever received. You have to decide that healing matters more than the appearance of having it all together. But here's the second truth that struck me from my conversation with Tenea. We were never meant to carry everything alone. Many of us, especially Black professionals and entrepreneurs, feel this crushing pressure to shoulder the world's burdens. We've internalized this idea that strength means handling everything yourself, that asking for help somehow diminishes your capability or betrays a weakness others will exploit. Let me tell you about something remarkable that challenges this notion entirely. The Loveland Foundation, founded by Rachel Cargill, emerged after she witnessed viral outcry over mental health support access among Black women. What began as a simple offer to help pay for someone's therapy session revealed something profound. Thousands of Black women were ready for healing, but facing insurmountable barriers to accessing it. Black women face disproportionate obstacles to culturally competent mental health care, cost barriers, community stigma, and a severe lack of representation among providers. The Loveland Foundation addressed this by raising funds nationally and partnering with therapists specializing in serving Black clients' specific needs related to racialized stressors and generational wounds. The results? Thousands have received free therapy sessions since 2018. Recipients report transformed well being, largely because they were finally able and encouraged to confront old traumas head on rather than hide them away. Over $5 million distributed so far, partnerships nationwide, a movement that has normalized seeking help as strength, not weakness, for thousands who might otherwise stay silent about emotional scars. This is what liberation looks like, not carrying everything alone, but building communities of care where healing becomes possible, not pretending the weight isn't heavy, but acknowledging it's too much for any one person to bear. As Audre Lorde reminded us, caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. In a world that expects Black women to carry everyone else's burdens, choosing your own healing is revolutionary. The third truth Tenea Strayhorn shared that transformed my understanding is this: your scars are proof of strength, not weakness. We've been taught to hide our battle wounds, to cover them with makeup, to never let them show in professional settings. But what if they're actually our greatest credential? Dr. Nadine Burke Harris's work illuminates this beautifully. As a pediatrician working primarily with Black children in San Francisco's Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood, she noticed something alarming. Her young patients exhibited high rates of chronic illness linked not just to poverty, but to unaddressed childhood trauma. Cultural taboos around mental health disclosure meant these wounds remained hidden, festering beneath the surface and manifesting as physical ailments. Rather than continuing this cycle of silence, Dr. Burke Harris implemented universal screening for adverse childhood experiences ACEs at her clinic. She encouraged families to recognize symptoms and talk honestly about traumatic events impacting their children's bodies and minds. Children identified early received holistic interventions, including counseling alongside medical care, improving both academic outcomes and physical health markers long term. Her work led to a best selling book, a TED Talk with over 6 million views, and California becoming the first state to require ACEs screening statewide. More importantly, it proved that naming and addressing wounds can break intergenerational cycles of trauma. This is what happens when we stop hiding our scars and instead use them as maps to guide others toward healing. As Maya Angelou said, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Your wounds, when exposed to light and air, don't just heal, they become wisdom that others desperately need. So, what does this mean for you sitting here right now? How do we take these profound insights from Tenea Strayhorn and transform them into lived experience? First, understand that healing is a choice you make daily. It doesn't just happen because time passes. Wounds left in darkness fester, those exposed to light begin to heal. Second, reject the lie that you must carry everything alone. The strongest among us aren't those who never need help, they're those brave enough to ask for it. As the African proverb reminds us, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Third, recognize that your scars are not shameful evidence of failure, but powerful testimony to your resilience. Every battle mark tells the story of survival, of persistence, of refusing to be defined by what tried to break you. I want to challenge you today, right now, to make a radical commitment to your healing. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, not when it feels safe. Now, because the world doesn't need more people pretending they're fine while drowning inside. The world needs people brave enough to say, this hurts and I need help, and I'm still healing. Your wounds are not your weakness, they are your greatest source of wisdom. Your vulnerability is not your liability, it is your superpower. Your healing journey is not just for you, it's for everyone whose life you touch, for everyone who looks at you and thinks, if they can survive that, maybe I can too. So take off the cape, put down the mask, let your scars breathe in the light. Because true healing doesn't happen in hiding, it happens in the brave space of exposure, in the sacred act of being seen, in the revolutionary choice to value your wholeness more than your image. The world is waiting for you, not the polished, perfect version you've been exhausting yourself trying to maintain, but the real you, battle scars and all. Because that version of you, that's the one with the power to heal not just yourself, but the world around you. Your healing begins now, in this moment, with one brave step toward the light. What will you choose to expose today?